y'all, welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be going over how to measure your food using a food scale, and then we're also going to learn how to enter it into MyFitnessPal. We're going to do this with foods with barcodes, foods without barcodes, liquids, and then we're also going to learn a little bit about how to import recipes so it's easy to track, and how to use MyFitnessPal to track when you go out to restaurants. So let's go ahead and get started with the food scale. So the 4 steps to using a food scale, you guys, is going to be first to scan your food and enter it. The second is going to be to weigh it. The third is going to be to enter it in either ounces or grams. All right, those are always your go-to measurements unless you have no other options. And then finally, our 4th step will be to zero out that scale. All right, you zero it out and then move on to the next step. So we're going to go ahead and start with our spinach here, our salad base. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to open up MyFitnessPal and we're going to make some lunch. We're going to click add food to lunch and click the barcode in the top right corner. So from here, I'm just going to scan my food and it's going to pull up the baby spinach from Trader Joe's. So right now the serving size is set to cups. I'm going to change that. I'm going to set it to ounces. And now that I know it's in ounces, I'm going to go ahead and turn my scale on. It's going to calibrate and it starts at 0 ounces until I add the food in. So I'm going to add in some spinach here. And we have measured half an ounce. I'm going to type in 0.5 and enter that bitch. Now we're going to move on. All right. Anytime it comes to meat, you guys, like if it's ground turkey, things like that, always enter your meat and measure it before it is cooked. And that's the same with vegetables. So we're going to measure it before anything's cooked. Now it's pretty simple here. I'm going to use, you could do the turkey burger, but I'm going to actually use the tuna because this tuna is not entered correctly in MyFitnessPal. I'm going to show you what to do if this happens. So I'm going to click the plus button. I'm going to click food, and we're going to click the plus button in the top right corner, and you can either do quick add or you could do create a food. I prefer to do create a food because I know I'm going to use this again and I don't want to have to keep entering it. So I'm going to click create a food and I'm going to type in that it's Trader Joe's brand. Sorry about that. All right, we'll just do Trader Joe for now. And then we're going to type in the description. So it is chunk, light, skipjack, tuna in Milo. You're fine. Come here. You're okay. Sorry about that. In water. And then the serving size is 1 can. And there is 1 serving per container. So now from here, what we'll do is we're going to add in the calories, which is 110. The carbohydrates are 0. The protein is 25 grams. And the fat is 0.5. You can continue to add in additional things, but for time purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and click the check mark. Oh, what details does it want? Sometimes if it says add details, it means you forgot something. The carbs, there we go. All right, so now we have that lovely food. If I ever wanted to add it again, I could simply click in that top right corner, and I just would click on my foods at the top here, and it have a stash. All right, so now we're going to move on to non-barcoded items like produce, vegetables, fruits, things like that. So that little tag there is most likely not going to work. So we're just going to do 2 options. I always recommend, it's like a nice little hack to type in the food that you want with the words USDA. So we're going to try that out. But you could also just type in avocado and look for a green check mark. That means it's verified. So I'm going to type in avocado. And I'm going to type in USDA. Perfect. So we have the USDA there. It's already measured in grams, but the serving size is set to 100. We want to set that to 1 gram so that we can make it specific. So now that we have our food, I'm going to turn my scale back on. That way it's set to 0 again. Always reset your scale. And then we're just going to add some avocado. Again, it's half an ounce. So I'm going to change my unit really quick on my scale to grams, and instead of half an ounce, now it's telling me it's 15 grams, so it automatically will measure in both ounces or grams. Cool, I click check, now we're moving on. So anytime you're adding things like dressing, things like that, maybe you're making a sandwich, you could literally put the sandwich on your plate and just spread the mayo and let it measure it, or you could just plop the mayo on there. So don't feel like you have to measure it separately. So first things first, zero out that scale on and off, or just click the Z. Awesome. And then I'm going to change my unit to ounces, and here we go. We're just going to pour some of this, and we have 0.3 ounces, okay? So let's go ahead and scan in this Greek goddess dressing. Barcode it up, boom, and we're going to enter in that we're measuring it in fluid ounces, and then we're going to enter in 0.2, 0.3, hit check, and then we're going to move on, all right? So that's going to be our salad. Now I'm going to show you how to easily add a snack. So we're going to use a different piece of equipment. All right, so it's measuring it at 10.2. I don't want that, so I'm just going to zero the scale out. Perfect. I would then scan my hummus, and we're going to plop it on there. So I'll show you how fast this is. This will literally take me under a minute to track my food. All right, where's she at? There she is, boom. All right, so again, change that serving size to ounces or grams. We're gonna do 1 fluid ounce, and we got 1.1 ounces, 1.1, add it. Now, I'm just going to add in my pretzels. All right, so we're gonna scan it. It depends on the brand. This one does grams, and it also does ounces, so you could do either. I'll just keep it on ounces since that's what it's at. We're going to scan it in, and we have 1.6 ounces. I need to change that serving size to 1 ounce, and now we're Gucci. So I just measured my snack. All right, so now let's go ahead and get into liquids. So for your protein shake, normally these blender bottles, they'll be in ounces. There'll be like a little chart here in ounces. You can't see it, but it says like 8, 12, whatever. I normally do 8 ounces of water, or I love doing unsweetened vanilla almond milk. I'm going to use water because I don't want to waste my milk. So you would zero it out and put your blender bottle on there, and then add in the amount of ounces you want. Again, I normally use 8 ounces. And again, you would just scan it into MyFitnessPal, blah, blah, blah. Then for your protein, I normally just do a scoop. I don't even measure it. So I would just type in the ounces that I have there and then scoop it in, whatever, shake it up. Now, what I want to show you is a hack. So a hack of add yesterday's breakfast. So you can see at the top here, yesterday's breakfast is there. I could swipe right to add that meal. It pulls up. I can make edits if I need to, and I'm just going to click check. Boom. So with things that you maybe eat regularly, you can easily copy and paste. The other thing you could do, let's say you didn't have it yesterday, but you had it on Monday. If you click on those 3 dots in the bottom right corner, you could just do copy from a date, and then you could pick the day that you had whatever food, and then just click the check button, okay? So now we're going to have some fun and measure some wine. There she is. So this was really going to determine what kind of pour you are. So zero out the scale with whatever glass you're using, and then you can pour it up. So easy. There we go. 9.3 ounces. All right, so this is how simple it is. I'm just going to add it under snacks. So we just gonna boom shakalaka. There she is. Scan her in. Serving size 6 ounces. We're going to change it to 1 ounce. And we're going to scan in 9.3. Boom. And now my glass of Chardonnay is in there. Perfect. All right, so now I want to go over how to add recipes. Guys, this is so simple, okay? So this will show up maybe over there on the screen. What we're going to do, you guys, is pick what time we're having the recipe. I'm going to do a snack because we're going to do buffalo chicken dip. If you have pre-stored recipes, they'll be at the top here. I'm going to show you guys how to import this recipe. We're going to click the plus button in the top right. We're going to create a recipe, and you can either add from the web, which is what we're going to do, or you could enter the ingredients manually, so create a title. The thing is, you want to make sure bulk import ingredients is on, or else you're going to have to type it in one by one. So if you scan that, you could just type everything in, and then it'll match it in MyFitnessPal. So let's go ahead, and we're going to create the recipe from the internet. So I've already copied and pasted, I believe, the URL, and I'm going to search it. So maybe you go to Safari, copy and paste the URL. There we go. Sorry, she's turning off on me. All right, so now we're going to import this recipe. And amazing, it already tracked everything in there for us. So we would just look over and make sure it's correct. It's going to match the ingredients to the MyFitnessPal database. And we can always add or edit ingredients. I'm going to make the serving size 6 because that's what the recipe says. And boom shakalaka. I'm going to save it and log it. You could also just save it for later. All right, the last two things we're going to go over, we're going to do restaurants. Now, luckily with MyFitnessPal, you guys, they have a ton of restaurants in here. If they don't, just guesstimate. Search what you had. Maybe you had chicken and a steak. Maybe you had pad thai. Search it, add it. Tracking something is better than tracking nothing, okay? But let's say we are going to Chick-fil-A. So for dinner, we're going to have a little bit of Chick-fil-A. I'm just going to show you guys all the options that come up when we search. And you can obviously get more specific, but there's a lot of options in here. Now remember, the green check marks are verified, but sometimes people enter in the stuff from the internet, so sometimes that's better than nothing too. Just look over it and see if it looks somewhat accurate. But there's like fancier, like there's Firebirds in here. So, I mean, there's like a lot of different restaurants, Chick-fil-A, Panera, whatever. You have a lot of options. The final thing I want to remind you guys is make sure that you're tracking everything. Something that I normally forget a lot about is tracking the oil that I cook with. You don't really think about that when you're coating the pan. Sugar or any sweeteners that you're adding to your coffee, things like that. Any seasonings you're using, most seasonings will be like 0 calories, but there sometimes is a lot of sodium. I mean, I don't care about that much, but you just want to make sure if there are calories, you're tracking it. And then finally, it's super easy to also track your vitamins. Just scan it in and you're good to go. So I hope that helped you guys out. Go ahead and start practicing. The more you practice, the better you'll get. And I'll see you in the next video.